taking and paedophilic activities performed by the former president, former head of the CIA, that he says he's witnessed. I mean, if he's been sort of vindicated...
I guess we have to say that this is alleged by
It's alleged by Paul Benassi, but, you know...
We're not stating that that's a fact, we're saying that this person alleged
This person has said it, this is not me. Like, so.
I mean, would the snuff films not be used as bribery of some kind?
Yeah, very possibly as well.
Right.
You know, who knows what they sort of use. I mean, the other thing is that basically the sort of satanic element of them, in the sort of the trauma-based, you know, if we're breaking down personalities and things like that, we've seen how, like, you know, the military's got links to the Temple of Set through Michael Aquino and stuff like that. Perhaps these rituals, I mean, there's several things. Rituals, sort of repeated rituals, basically, in the same way that television drops you into an alpha state brainwave.
Yes.
Mantras, dogma, singing hymns, that sort of thing, because you're basically doing the same thing, it also drops you in the same thing. So I suppose you could be programmed that. Also, the sort of the trauma of the satanic ritual abuse. And the other thing that happens as well is that basically, because you need to sort of be abusing and destroying these kids in these rituals or whatever, they'll have people dress up with a Mickey Mouse mask or as a devil or something like that. And so when they tell their parents or the police or whoever, Mickey Mouse touched me inappropriately, it sounds like it's made up.
Yes. Well, very disturbing stuff, Neil. We're going to go for a short break now. And after the break, we're going to touch on some of the other projects, Project Monarch, Project Phoenix, Montauk, and Mannequin. So don't go away. Welcome back on board the Starship. I'm talking with Neil Sanders, and
Hello.
we've been touching on some alleged mind control projects. Now, we discussed MK Ultra before the break. Neil, can you give us an overall one paragraph? What was MK Ultra? Or is it too broad to define?
Well, this is the thing. Well, for a start, okay, the MK Ultra is a fact. Okay, we've got declassified documents. Basically, it's stuff like programming children to be assassins, programming people to have different personalities, multiple personalities, programming people for truth serums, and programming people so that it can be used as photographic memories for couriers, for espionage and stuff like that.
So we come on to another project, Project Monarch.
Yes.
Was that a CIA project?
Well, this is the thing. You see, whereas MK Ultra has basically been released in 1977, Ted Kennedy spoke to the Senate about it, and you know, Clinton's apologised for it. It's official. Monarch is one of these projects that is rumoured. Like Fritz Springmeier wrote about Monarch, how to create an Illuminati mind-controlled slave, and basically he speaks about people like Jar Jar Gabor and Marilyn Monroe and Jay Mansfield being part of it. The sort of people that have come forward saying that they are part of Monarch are Bryce Taylor and Kathy O'Brien. What Monarch is the female sex slave program. These are girls that have basically usually come from some multi-generational incest families, usually possibly with a sort of satanic link to it as well. And they are utilised by the government, and their personalities are broken down. By the time they become adults, what they are termed is presidential models. Now, this will be very attractive blonde girls that are usually sort of sex slaves that can be used for blackmail or they can be used for espionage. One of them was basically Bryce Taylor. She wrote the book Thanks for the Memories.
Bryce Taylor, so people can Google that name?
Yeah. Bryce Taylor claims that basically her father was actually under CIA programming, and since birth she was into this family where she was being set up for it. She was taken as a child and used in child pornography and, you know, sex trade and prostitution and stuff like that. And she claims that she was trained at military bases all across the way. Right. When she was older, she became what's termed a presidential model, which is essentially a sex slave and a personal computer. You know, you basically, the girl will walk into a room and she's remembered every aspect which she can then relay back using photographic memory. She names Bob Hope, the comedian Bob Hope, as her handler. She says that basically entertainment was a hobby of his. It was just a front. He was actually part of an espionage group that was there for sort of world control. She also names Ronald Reagan as using her. She also says that Henry Kissinger, or Heinz Kissinger, as was exposed by Christopher Story. I mean, this is interesting because Henry Kissinger is essentially a triple agent. He worked for Germany, Russia, and England, which... Or alternatively,
England, not US.
Sorry, US. Or perhaps do they all work together? That's the question. But basically, he was the owner of her Mind Files, which is all the sort of stored espionage files, all the sort of knowledge that she's gained on popular figures, celebrities, and stuff like that. And Bryce Taylor claims that she was often used at parties with Hugh Hefner at the Playboy Mansion. Now, this is quite interesting because if
Hugh Hefner, who's Hugh Hefner?
Hugh Hefner is the, well, he's related to the Bush family, and basically he's the magnate of Playboy, Playboy magazine. He owns the Playboy Mansion.
All right.
Now, if you watch Girls of the Playboy Mansion, which is a program, it's like a reality TV show that shows, I mean, aside from anything, they're all blonde, which is the look of Playboy. But if you could go into the symbolism of the Easter Bunny and stuff like that if you really wanted to. The point is, if you look at these girls on the Girls of the Playboy Mansion, you become sort of transfixed. You sort of look at this and you notice that their eyes, they're very wide. They're very all these girls look like they've been under post-traumatic stress disorder and stuff like that. This is purely speculation, but I was looking at Madeleine McCann and pictures of Madeleine McCann. If you cover up her eyes, cover up the photo, it doesn't matter if she's smiling or everything, look at the eyes and see if that's a happy child or if that's a traumatised child.
So you're getting into controversial areas here, Neil.
That's just speculation.
Well, can we go there? I mean, it's
probably not.
We'll leave Madeleine McCann out of it, I think.
Yes. But I mean, the thing about Bryce Taylor was he was backed up by a researcher called Walter Bowitt, who wrote Operation Mind Control, which is really difficult to get hold of now. Basically, he saw Bryce Taylor on several occasions with Bob Hope as a sort of cocktail waitress, sort of part of his entourage, which sort of adds credence to her story.
So, all right, and so the other people who are rumoured to have been involved in Project Monarch are
Cathy O'Brien.
Cathy O'Brien. You mentioned Michael Jackson before.
Well, Michael Jackson is it's in the sort of public domain that Michael Jackson suffers from dissociative identity disorder, as does Britney Spears and Lindsay Lohan, which we'll get onto.
Britney Spears and Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah. Dissociative identity disorder is essentially, multiple personality, which is what they were trying to achieve to sort of get this, to get this spy or whatever involved. And basically she claims that Bob Hope sponsored the Jacksons, and that on several occasions Joe Jackson, who's Michael Jackson's father, would take the Jackson 5 to meetings with influential businessmen and essentially prostitute. Now, she claims that she's seen the Jackson 5 being prostituted by Bob Hope on behalf of Joe Jackson.
What do you mean by being prostituted?
Being sold for sex to businessmen.
So businessmen would have sex with the Jackson 5?
Yeah. Well,
Really?
apparently. Well, this is what she claims. I mean,
Right.
Basically, Jermaine Jackson has come out in interviews and said that these meetings did take... He never says that there was sex involved, but he says that there were very strange meetings where his father would take Michael to visit important businessmen in hotels, and he'd be gone all night, and then he'd be ill, physically ill for days afterwards. I mean, he has got multiple personalities, or it's alleged that he's got dissociative identity disorder.
So you think that Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan have at some point in their lives been taken to a facility, shall we say, a hospital, whatever, and hypnotised, been programmed using mind control techniques?
Yeah, and some people might say that basically, so they found these celebrities and decided to think, no, I believe that they manipulated them into this character and then made them celebrities, to be quite honest. This is almost to sort of hide it in plain view.
So, hang on, let's get this right. So, what people would say is that people who are, famous, who have millions of people watching them, they become like that because
of the pressures of the
because
fame.
of the pressures, they take drugs.
Yeah.
So they don't behave like ordinary people. Because they're on this pedestal.
Yeah, well, I think...
So you would contend that they have been picked out deliberately by somebody who's saying, right, you're going to be the next, famous person that children will look up to, and we're going to control you from day one.
Yeah, absolutely. Britney Spears, Marilyn Monroe, Madonna, Celine Dion, Tom Hanks, all related.
So do you think that those people that you've just named, that they all have handlers?
Very possibly. I mean,
Tom Hanks?
It was one of those, isn't it? Some people will and some people won't. I actually think, there's a lot of evidence that even sort of people right at the top have got handlers, like Bill Clinton. There's the footage of